Hey everybody, Mele Kilikimaka. Merry Christmas, how are you? Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, I know it's just passed. Whatever seasonal greeting you ascribe to, I want to send it out to you. Today is my second Tuesday Patreon video. I know, for those of you paying attention, it's Thursday and I'm a couple days late. Oh well, that's the way it goes sometimes. I wanted to talk to you today about reading tablature and why do you care? In order to demonstrate this, we're going to use the lovely seasonal classic In The Bleak Midwinter by Gustav Holtz. And I've got a transcription of it down in the description below that you can click on and get for yourself. It uses standard ukulele tuning G, C, E, A. I've got my nice resonator ukulele here. And we're going to go through the transcription, but I wanted to show you a couple of the things that are endemic of tab and why you want to pay attention. Now, a lot of ukulele players that I've run into come at ukulele from playing piano a lot when they were younger, and they wonder why they need to learn tab when they already know notation. And I get it. You're learning a whole new way to recognize it, but I want to give you some encouragement and explain why you care. Mainly because tablature not only shows you the notes that you're playing, but it shows you where they are on the fingerboard. So when you see a 3 written on the A string, that's the 3rd fret on the A string. So you know that that's the note you want. Now, you could say to yourself, well, that's easy, that's a C note. Anytime I see a C note, that's what I want. Well, there's a C note there, there's also a C note there, and they're the same register. So C at the 8th fret on the E string is the same as C at the 3rd fret of the A. So which one do I want? That's what tab tells you, because there's a good reason why you might want this one over this one, and it's all to do with the arrangement that you're playing. The other thing to note for those who are unfamiliar with tab are a couple of the little tricks that you're going to see. For example, in bar 11, we have two cymbals that are 2 notes joined with a bridge and a little P written over it. Now, P means pull off. So when you see that, what you want to be thinking of is what my note that I strike and what note do I end up with? And the answer is not a pluck. So if I'm pulling it, I'm releasing it over here and kind of plucking with my finger as I pull away, my fretting hand finger, to create the new sound. And so that's one thing to know for P means pull off. If you see that same figure with an H, it means hammer on. And then the last question that comes up over and over again is, how do I know how long to play the notes? It's one thing to say that those are the notes that are there, but I don't know time. And it's the same way as in standard notation. So if you see a note that is written just on its own as an open circle, or in the case of tablature with a circle written around the number, that is a whole note. If you're seeing a circle, notes with a circle around it and a little line above it or below it, that is a half note. If you're seeing just the note, a number, and a line above or below, then that is a quarter note. If you're seeing a line with a little flag, that is an 8th note, just like in normal tablature. The other thing about tab to remember is that it's as if you're looking down on your ukulele. So your notes are going to be from the bottom to the top, G, C, E, A, as if you were looking down here, face on. So in my case, it'd be like I'm looking at my ukulele like this when I look at tablature. And that's how it looks. So you get used to that idea, and it becomes really easy to recognize what you have to do. There's lots of tutorials online for reading tab to break down all those symbols. There's books that have tablature glossaries that show all the different things. I'd encourage you to look into that. But the reason I wanted to do this was because I'm going to start putting out a lot more tablature in the new year for these lessons, and I wanted you to have a sense of how to read what was going to come in front of you. Today we're going to work with In The Bleak Midwinter. And I want to point out a couple things, because when you look at this, at first glance you can think, oh my God, there is so many chords to this. I get it, there really is a lot of chords here, but it's not that complicated. It's just a case of taking your time and putting them together. And the way the arrangement is written, it's you strum a chord and then you pluck a note and then you strum a chord. So you have lots of time to make a change and to hear the melody come out. So here we are, let's go through it and I'll play it one time and then we'll break it down for you. look at the first 4 bars, we see this progression from F to A minor with a C over it, D minor, to this interesting G minor shape, and then it ends with a C7 that we don't actually play. So you can throw that chord right off at the end. That's on the rest portion of the music. So if you look at the tablature, what you see is written from bottom to top there, from the G to the A string. You got a 2nd fret on the G, open on the C, 1st fret on the E, and open on the A string. So you've got that normal F chord that you're used to making. Then you've got this 1st fret on the A string. So you got this. And what you've got is that melody going, right? That's that first at A string, 0, 1, 3, 0. And then we get into our D minor chord. If you notice, that first D minor has the 3rd fret on the E string fretted instead of the 1st, and then it goes down to the 1st. So you get this melody where you're going in, and the chords are just supporting that. So you got this. Really quite easy to put together those first 2 bars. And then we get into the last 2 bars, and it's just that G minor shape. So we get ourselves in this G minor, which is the 3rd fret on our G string, the 2nd fret on our C string, and the 3rd fret on our E string. And we strum that, then pluck the open A string, strum that, and pluck the 2nd fret on the C string, and strum it again. So it's... Now you'll notice in the chord diagram it shows not to play that open A string. And you wouldn't do that in a whole strum of the chord. So you want to concentrate on just those 3. So really quite easy, right? Then we get into the second line, and we get into bars 5 through 8. And what you see is almost the same thing, except that when we get to the last 2 bars, it changes up slightly. So we get the same. Then we get into our G minor figure, and you see that it goes from G minor to a C7 where it opens up. So it's that same position as that G minor. You've just lifted your index finger up. So you've got your... Then the 1st fret, which is getting back to our F, right? So you've got that basic pattern. So at that point, those first 8 bars are kind of similar. So you really only need to practice them once to get through it, and you'll get there. Then we end up with our next 8 bars, bars 9 through 12. And this is where we get our first real change, where we go to our B flat chord. Now you'll see that on the tab, we got our B flat, and then on the A string we have an open string. We have the open A string. So you got this. You do your B flat, lift up to reveal that one, but don't release the rest of the chord. And we end up to a B flat on the 5th fret. So we have 5, 6, 5 covering up here. And that's our G shape on the 5th fret. And that's a B flat chord. So you get this. And that's all for that melody note right there. Back to our D minor. Now you can play the whole chord, but all you really need are those 2 strings in the middle, the 2nd fret on the C and the 3rd fret on the E, the G string. So you got that. And then we get into bars 11 and 12, where we have our pull-off figures that I mentioned earlier. So you get into your F with a C over top of it. That's where you've got the 3rd fret on your A string held down. And you're going to do a pull-off. So you're going to strum that chord, and then you're going to pull off your pinky to reveal the open A string below it. And then the G minor, you're going to do the same thing with the G minor shape, but you're going to pull off your ring finger from the 3rd fret to the open. So you get this. And you end up on a C chord. And then we go back to the last 4 bars are very much like the last 4 bars, the second 4 bars in the arrangement. So bars 13 through 16 are the same as bars 5 through 8. So that sounds like. And that's it. That's the main theme of In the Bleak Midwinter. You can play that at any tempo you see fit. Let's go through it one more time, nice and slowly, so you can listen. So there you have it. I really encourage you to spend some time working with tablature and learning to read the notes this way. It'll really help your progression as a student, because there's a lot of tablature written for ukulele and for guitar that can be transposed to ukulele. It's really a great way to notate exactly where on the fingerboard you want to play, so you can get things like that movement from B flat all the way up to the B flat here. You get that. And you're still playing a B flat chord. Anyway, thank you so much. Have yourself a Merry Christmas. I'm going to see you one more time just after Christmas for another video. And I want to send a special thank you out to all of my patrons on Patreon for supporting these videos. If you haven't checked out Patreon, please do. There's a lot of other transcriptions and tutorials that are posted on that site every other week. So for example, this week you're getting to see this video for free because they've paid for it. Next week they're going to get to see a video that you will not see, that will not be publicly available on Facebook or YouTube or any other social media, but only through the Patreon stream for those patrons. And you can get involved for as little as $1 per video that's made. Now, to further clarify what I do is I make 2 videos a month that are publicly available to you, the second Tuesday and the 4th Tuesday of every month. Those are the videos that my patrons pay for. So for as little as $1 per those videos, you get 2 other weeks of content, 3 on 5-week months of content that no one else sees, plus advanced savings and discounts. For example, I just put up a discount coupon for my patrons to save 50% off my entire digital catalog, or anything in my store for that matter. So thank you for your support, everyone on Patreon, and hope you have a Merry Christmas.